Life is a mystery, isn't it? We're born, we live, and eventually we die. But what happens in between? That is up to you. Some people define life as the presence of consciousness, while others see it as the ability to reproduce or adapt to environments. Whatever definition you may prefer, one thing is for sure: life is short, and we are not here forever. Death is a natural process that marks the end of life. It is the cessation of all biological functions that sustain an organism. Death can occur suddenly or gradually over time, and it can be caused by a variety of factors, including disease, trauma, or age. Some people believe that death is a transition into another realm of existence, while others see it as the end of life altogether. Different cultures view death in different ways. Some cultures celebrate death as a natural part of life and believe in reincarnation, while others view it with fear and superstition. In some cultures, death is seen as a passage to another world or spiritual realm, whereas in others, it is simply the end of life. Here are some of the cultures that celebrate death. In Mexico, for example, they have a holiday called Dia de los Muertos, which translates to Day of the Dead. During this holiday, families gather to celebrate and remember their loved ones who have passed away. They create altars with offerings such as food, candles, and flowers, and dress up in costumes to represent death. It might seem strange to some, but to them, it's a way to honor and show respect for those who have passed on. On the other hand, there are cultures that view death with fear and superstition. In some parts of Africa, for example, it's believed that witches and evil spirits can cause someone's death. This can lead to extreme measures being taken to protect oneself, such as wearing amulets or consulting with traditional healers. In these cultures, death is seen as a mysterious and unpredictable force that can strike at any time. Then there are cultures that see death as a passage to another world or spiritual realm. In many Native American cultures, for example, it's believed that when someone dies, their spirit continues on to another world. This belief is reflected in their funeral ceremonies, which often involve rituals and prayers to help guide the deceased person's spirit to its final destination. Finally, there are cultures that view death as simply the end of life. In Western cultures, for example, death is often seen as a natural part of the life cycle. We might mourn the loss of a loved one, but we also accept that death is inevitable and a part of the natural order of things. From a biological perspective, death is an inevitable outcome for all living creatures. Our bodies age and eventually break down, leading to the cessation of all vital functions. It's a process that's both beautiful and tragic. Philosopher Epicurus believed that we should not fear death because it is the absence of sensation, and therefore, cannot harm us. He said, "Death does not concern us because as long as we exist, death is not here. And when it does come, we no longer exist." This idea reminds us that life is precious and that we should focus on living in the present moment rather than worrying about what may happen in the future. When we face death, it can be a powerful reminder to make the most of the time we have left. As the writer, Steve Jobs said, "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life." Jobs knew that his time on Earth was limited, and this realization inspired him to pursue his passions and create a legacy that would outlast him. The philosopher, Jean-Paul Sartre, believed that our awareness of our own mortality gives us the freedom to live authentically. He said, "Man is condemned to be free because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does." This means that we have the power to shape our lives and make choices that align with our values and beliefs. When we accept our mortality, we can live with a sense of purpose and intentionality. Think about it: every living creature has a limited amount of time on this earth. We are born, we grow, we experience joy and pain, and eventually, we must all face the end. It's a reality that can be difficult to accept, but it's also what makes life so precious. But while death may be a natural part of the life cycle, that doesn't mean we shouldn't strive to live as fully as possible. In fact, it's the very finiteness of our time on this earth that makes it so important to make the most of every moment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.